Hello everyone, Tenno here, today with another video if my family members were Warframe. Today's video will be specifically for my third son, Eric, which is in this universe known as Frost, the Conqueror. Now yes, his warframe is actually Frost, but he is Frost the Conqueror. Now the Tenno that is in the story is King Void. Now King Void is, I guess, in a sense, a pharaoh type looking character. He also resides with his other two siblings on the Red Veil. Now, King Void's main frame is Frost. Now, Frost is paired up with the Prisma lens. I have it built up pretty good for cold status, and it's mainly a crit weapon, so yeah, it goes a good little weapon synergy with that. And I have the Karoom. I was actually pretty upset with Karoom because it is a great weapon to use, great melee to use. I was just more bummed out, kicking myself in the head for the ribbon I had for it. Awesome ribbon. Unfortunately, one day I was dissolving mods. That ended up being one of the mods I accidentally dissolved. Before deselecting it, I had started dissolving all the duplicates for Endo, and that mod specifically, I forgot to deselect it, and now I will probably not be able to get another unveil another Karoom ribbon mod for the Karoom anytime soon. So that's a bummer, but it is still a really good weapon. I have it built as his Ice Scepter because Frost himself is, in a sense, a king in his own domain. Now, King Void is a very powerful operator, a Tenno. Does stupid amount of damage when I put him in the Madarai focus school. Now, Frost provides a lot of overguard with one of his augment mods that go with his fourth ability, providing, depending on how many enemies, and it does scale pretty well with however many enemies he does have on the field that he's able to take out with Avalanche, as many enemies as he can. That is the amount of overguard he ends up receiving after destroying them with his fourth ability, providing a good amount of overguard, and you could stack that almost theoretically infinitely, or however many enemies there are on the field. That's how much overguard you're gonna end up getting. Now, to me, early on, I wish I would have had the mag and Frost heirloom. Wish I had the funds for it. Unfortunately, I do not. I did not at the time. So now when I see other people have that heirloom, it is upsetting. I wish DE would have done better to their fans about not dropping the ball on some dumb decision like that. I am still hopeful in the future that we can get those heirloom skins back. I mean, me, like many other players, I've purchased a lot of the heirloom skins already, but yeah, this is still one of my favorite looks for Frost. Now, back in the day, early on, when I first got Frost, didn't know what to expect. All I knew is that he did give off a really cool Winter Wonderland villainous type look when I saw this skin come out. Now, Frost as a whole is really good with defense missions, and that's what I utilize on Steel Path and regular, just mainly excavation, defense. He does a really good job at just covering whatever objective you want him to cover, and then you could stack his snow globe on the defense or excavation items or areas or markers. Can protect a lot, provide overguard for himself, and he can freeze enemies when you do disruption missions and you have really good weapons. The disruption missions are a walk in the park for him. That is actually really good to see him utilize it that way. Now, if and when we utilize freeze for his ability, he's able to just walk in the park. These disruptions, exterminations, captures, pretty fun to see him just remove enemies off the map when he utilizes all his abilities at once. Avalanche is actually pretty fun to use. It's fun to see him just melt away the enemies on the map when he is using said moveset. Now yes, Void King resides with the rest of his siblings on Red Veil. Their little backstory, that lore within lore that I talk about when I make up my own characters and people and Tenno and Warframes in Warframe within the universe, within their own very little small story universe that I make for myself. The three of them tend to go on missions, and if there was ever a type of mode where you can utilize multiple warframes at once, even if you didn't have to do all four, you could just do up to the 4 and then just put your teams of warframes that you would like to use, because you have a bunch of warframes that you collect, and what's the point of using all those warframes if you can only use one at a time? To me, I always thought railjack, you'd get so much more use out of railjack, or something like railjack where you can start to utilize all the warframes in your inventory, or even be able to select a number of warframes in some type of game mode where you, as the story progresses, I'd say the Tenno can start, instead of just the one warframe at a time, so you can start utilizing multiple warframes at a time in certain game modes or story modes, or even a game mode where you could put potentially multiple warframes all in one tile set and start melting away enemies or just nuking enemies with the NPC or with the AI helping you out with how well, and it'll just show you how well your warframes are depending on how powerful they make the NPC or the computer or the bot that is controlling your warframe, helping you out in missions or in some type of defense or a solo mission type deal where it's just you and your warframes, and seeing how well you have built your warframes and seeing the computer utilize said warframes to help you out with whatever mission. I think that'd be a really cool game mode. I really wish they would do something along those lines where you can start putting more warframes from your inventory in a game mode, specifically for, I would say, the solo players, to see how well you have made the warframe for the bot to start using in the game and seeing if it works. But yes, if it was the three of them utilizing their warframes, it would be Frost, Grendel, and Harrow. Harrow would provide the crit, Frost would provide the freeze and the protection with the snow globe, and Grendel would provide the knockdowns. Now no one can knock down or lift it. Now, and the knockdowns. Now anyone getting knocked down or lifted would be affected by a status. Afflictions, right? So Grendel would be eating up, rolling around, eating, spitting up enemies, providing viral and energy regen. Frost would provide defense with his snow globe and freezing enemies with his first ability. Haro would provide a lot of crit damage, crit chance, and just start stacking that damage onto enemies nearby. So that would be a pretty solid team. Just the three of them alone would do an insane amount of damage. The synergy would be amazing. And watching him melt away steel path enemies like nobody's business would be incredible. Now, yeah, the Karoom, the Prisma Lens, the Kavat. I actually have a Kavat with. They all provide viral and cold damage. Do a lot of cold damage. The Prisma has a lot of crit on it, crit chance actually. The Karoom is just a really fast melee weapon. Even without the Riven mod that I unfortunately dissolved by mistake, it's still a really good melee weapon to use. I also utilize the, I want to say it's Embolist. I want to say it was the Embolist, if I'm not mistaken. But it is a pretty fun warframe. Like I said, just having them stack on all those snow globes on a defense mission is pretty fun to see. The Prisma Lens is just appealing, it's just satisfying to utilize on big groups of enemies. Avalanche is pretty fun, just getting that overguard from enemies. Doing the freezing them up. Using that ice wave is pretty cool. That's another one that helps out with slowing down enemies, getting rid of them, doing damage. It's a fun little setup, and I like using this especially for him. Now there's other warframes that he does have like access to. Now yes, Frost is his main warframe, but King Void uses a lot of immortal base, a lot of defensive type characters such as Inaros, the golden Inaros, the Pharaoh, right? Really goes aesthetically, it goes well with his setup, his look, the operator's look, because he already kind of looks like a pharaoh, some type of nomad from the deserts of the void. If I have to put more of a story to it. And yeah, even with Inaros, that gold scarab looking warframe that I have, pretty fun to use it. It makes for a really good photo op on Captura. That being said, Frost is the main. Most of these warframes obviously have multiple operators have multiple warframes to use for certain missions and games. But if I'm putting operators in a base of operations or area, not even base of operations, just an area that they would live in as far as continuity goes for my fan-made lore, it would be the three siblings together on the Red Veil in the Iron Weight, helping the Red Veil with their missions. Now, King Void uses mainly Frost due to how versatile of a warframe he is. Ever since he came out, he's always been one of those top 10 warframes to use in the game. You can use him for anything, honestly. To be very frank, you can use Frost for almost any mission in the game with ease. You don't have to actually try to build for him. Just his regular, normal Frost can get through a lot of the content. Steel Path content, honestly, can get through it quite easy. once I realized that, hey, if I can do this with Frost in regular mission, why can't I do it with him in Steel Path mission? So I tested him out, did surprisingly okay with him, not the best setup, but was able to get through a lot of defense missions with him, even excavator type mission. It does help quite a bit to have a Frost in your inventory, especially if you're trying to get through Steel Path content. Really helpful. And yeah, maybe start timing. And when it comes to the Steel Path is actually a really cool version of the game where it makes you start thinking of the builds, how to set up your mods, what to expect out of a very specific mission, how to set up your warframes for that specific mission. Now, if I have to say how versatile warframes are, yeah, you don't have to be that specific with Frost just because of his kit. It's already set. You don't have to helmet anything, to be very honest. If you did, which I'm not saying you have to, or have to at all, do it at all, because you really don't. But if you did have to helmet anything, I would put something like Ice Wave. Get that out of the equation. Now, mainly because I do have him put up with a lot of the augment mods already on him, I try not to mess with his kit, just because I like the way the abilities work, how they're set up for him, and not just for defense or excavation or anything like that, but mainly just because of how well it goes with everything else in the game. You really don't need to be helmeting Frost, and that's just me. That's my opinion. People can helmet them however they want. I don't always like to slap Nourish on every build that I make. You know, I need to be slapping Roar or Nourish all the time. You know, as much as, you know, people want to, just to get more of that max damage or whatever you want to talk about. You don't need max damage for anything or everything. Sure, it helps, but I don't want to get bored. I just like having fun with what I got. Yeah, sure, I can utilize Ash or Octavia to just melt away the Steel Path if I'm just trying to clear something really quick. If I'm actually trying to enjoy a mission with teammates and just have fun with it, I'll go with something like Frost or Vaughn. And yes, Ash, Technoside Ash. Check out that video. It's actually pretty fun. Now, Frost Globe, I didn't, you know, at the very beginning. Well, for me, it was, you know, 2015 when I started utilizing this. I remember glimpse and little concept art of him from another game. Little did I know he was supposed to be set up for an actual villain for a game I used to play called Dark Sector. And Lord behold, he's actually being used as a main character in this game. It's pretty cool to know that he was actually going to be part of the Dark Sector universe. Love that game. It was a great game. I'm glad he was able to come out with this one. And that is it. That'll be all for my Frost Warframe video, if my family members were Warframes. And that is King Void's main go-to Warframe. I hope you all enjoyed the video, enjoy the content, like and subscribe for more. This has been a fun video. Hope you all stick around. Tenno Ranger out.